few things in the news I think that are just worthy of discussing a little bit. First thing is, anybody paying attention to football, the Texans-Patriots feud that has gone on here over the last few days,
Interesting how that started, supposedly.
Very interesting how it started. And again, I don't know all the stories or the facts of the situation here. I'm not a guy that's here trying to break news. The way I operate is I hear these kind of stories, and I don't call friends and people right away and go, oh, give me the scoop because I got a pod tomorrow. No, at some point over the next few weeks, I'll talk to people and I'll figure out exactly what happened. But, just odd one because Billy O'Brien was such a valued, member of the Patriots organization. And I think there's great respect there for him as a person, a coach, everything he does. But, two, Nick Caserio, who is really the acting GM of the Patriots, but doesn't have the title because that's the way the Patriots work. And we know Bill is calling the final shots at the end of the day. It's been talk that, of course, the Texans want to interview Nick Caserio, and they put in the formal request to do that. And, if you made me put money on it, I would go, yeah, Nick Caserio is going to be the GM down there. And people talk about Billy O'Brien. Oh, he's hard to get along with because it's been 2 GMs now that he hasn't got along. Yeah, Billy O'Brien's not going to be happy until someone from New England is there to do things the way he saw them done when he was in New England. And, of course, New England has 18 years of dominating the century to this point where he goes, look, what they do is the right way, so he wants it done that way. I get that. But now the Patriots file tampering charges on the on the Texans, which is very interesting. And I don't know how this went down.
Did it stem from the ring ceremony party last week?
That seems to be
supposed
the common
interaction there.
Right. Jack Easterby, who has played a big part in the Patriots organization over the last few years, has moved on to the Houston Texans and apparently already has a very strong voice within that organization as is. Well, they had the ring ceremony last Thursday. Yes, the complaint by the Patriots was filed the very next morning.
Yep.
So I think that leads a lot of people to think, ooh, something went down at that dinner that night.
Their old GM got fired the next day too, right?
And yes, Gaines got fired the next day too. So yes, it makes everybody believe that something went down that night. And maybe something did. Maybe we don't know that. Maybe there was a conversation that went on between Nick Caserio and Bill Belichick, or Easterby and Bill Belichick. Either way, I think Nick Caserio is going to end up in Houston regardless. I do. I think they're going to make him the GM and give him the full power of being the GM and not just the de facto GM like he is with the New England Patriots, where he's going to run free agency, the draft, and certainly have a big say of the 53-man roster along with Bill O'Brien. But it seems like to me, again, Bill Belichick, from everything I know, knowing him, being around people, he's not a hater. He's not a guy that's looking to squash careers, right? So if you're given the opportunity to go and further your career and you're going to get more power and authority and have a better job, he's always been willing to let guys go out the door and do interviews.
You don't think he would stand in the way of this?
I don't think he wouldn't stand in the way of this. But to me, what it just reads like right now, reading between the lines and everything, it seems like it looks like there was a conversation that, hey, the Texans they want to interview me. And did this conversation go down the lines too long to where Bill here talking to Nick Caserio or somebody realized, oh, wait, they've discussed this more than I thought already. This is more than, someone coming to ask permission to interview my head, pro personnel, a de facto GM guy. This sounds like you guys already have some of the nuts and the bolts of the situation figured out, and you haven't even asked my permission yet. And I can see that pissing Bill Belichick off. So that's where I think it goes to. I think eventually, because Bill O'Brien and I think Nick Caserio wants to be that GM at some point in his career. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's so qualified for the job. I do think some agreement, and Florio was the first one to kind of float this out there, and I can envision that happening. Some sort of agreement, whether it's draft picks, mid-round picks, whatever it may be, a swap for the GM, because now, it does look like the Texans might have broke some rules.
If it does turn out that way, where eventually nobody's standing in the way, Caserio ends up in Houston, Bill this season would be acting defensive coordinator and then just officially acting GM in addition to head coach.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's where, the other name you hear being thrown into the Texans GM conversation is the head of the pro personnel for the New England Patriots, Monty Ossenfort, who is a phenomenal guy that I would vouch for as well. I would expect him to take over Nick Caserio's duty, right? But yes, I'm kind of intrigued to see how this works for the Patriots this year. Coaching staff all over the place. I mean, and yeah, Bill's calling plays. And yes, again, he doesn't have the relationship with Amani Ossenford that he does with Nick Caserio. So yeah, that could put more work on his plate too. So I think that's all an interesting dynamic. I just wanted to kind of talk about that, throw it out there.
No,
again, not factual, nothing out there, but it's just interesting nonetheless, because it is the Patriots and the Texans, and I always thought there was such a healthy respect between the two organizations.
Right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.